Hi, my loves. So today we're gonna talk about the books that I read in the month of July. I read 5 books, which is the most I've read, like all in 1 month, all year. So, I can get you my Fable analytics real quick. And I use Fable more frequently than I use Goodreads. I try to update my Goodreads often, but I don't update it as much as I update my Fable. I just prefer Fable. So if you want to see my reading ideas and stuff, follow me there. But anyway, I read 5 books in the month of July, and the closest that I've been to that since then is 3 books in the month of May. So 5 and 3, there's like 2 books difference. Anyway, me being annoying. Anyway, so we're gonna talk about those books. Maybe I will talk about books that I hope to read in August, but I have a couple of video ideas planned. So it might be less of a TBR like last month, like I made a TBR last month. I did not read a single book on that TBR. But it'll be more of like, I hope to read blah, 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 blah. So, yeah, we'll see. Anyway, let's talk about the 5 books I read because I'm so happy. So first of all, June 30th. I am recording this video on July 27th. I was about to talk about July 30th like it's happened. June 30th, Tempting Venom came out. And I have been waiting for Tempting Venom since I finished Sweet Venom in December of last year. I was like, this book is gonna come out. It's gonna be the best book ever. I'm gonna eat it up, devour, die, all the things. I read it in 3 days. It took me from 3 days, 4 days, 3, 4-ish. It took me from June 30th, which is the end of the month, which is the day it came out, till July 3rd. So I was like, yes. So good. So, oh, ow. I'm sorry, self. So perfect. So, I finished that. It is a dark hockey romance it's an dark hockey romance written by Rena Kent between Preston and Marcus. And y'all, I lost the plot at some point, I think, but it was so good. It literally, I loved it so much. I loved them. I loved how chaotic they both were. I loved their dynamic. I literally because I read it on Kindle Unlimited. I've read all my books this month on Kindle Unlimited, and I put them as as I go pick up another one, I have to get rid of them because I share my Kindle Unlimited with my mom and my dad, and so I don't get as many books as somebody who has their own Kindle Unlimited would. So I literally, every time I would have to return a book, I would return every single book except for that one. That one's still on my Kindle Unlimited because I was like, I cannot get rid of this right now. I can't do it. But it's dark hockey romance. They're rivals. They're on 2 separate teams. Marcus has always kind of been in love with Preston, but Preston didn't know. And oh my god, I literally I was so happy. And then when I finished the book, I literally texted Josh and was like, you have to listen to me yap about this book for 20 years straight. And it was so bad. Oh, I loved it so much. It was a 5-star. In case y'all couldn't tell by my energy and the way I'm yapping about it right now, it was 5. It was 5 stars. Oh, I love that book so much. And I need the paperback of that book. I need the paperback of that series because that's what got me into Rena Kent. But I need the paperback of that book specifically. Anyway, then I was like, we're gonna read another Rena Kent MM. Why not pick up Kiss the Villain? Because why not? So I did. I read the only Rena Kent I've read other than picking up Kiss the Villain now was the Viper series, and I've picked up both Kiss the Villain and God of Malice at some point, but I never finished them. So pick up Kiss the Villain. We're gonna take a pause because I gotta go move my laundry. It's actually rude the way my video turned off. That's bullshit. What fell? Anyway, that's actually bullshit. But anyway, so the only books, I think that's what I was, the only books I read that weren't that. What am I saying? I got it. I had already picked up Rina Kemp books before. I own God of Malice, and I picked up King. What? Oh my god, I'm losing it. I had already read. I owned God of Malice, and I had picked up also Kiss the Villain before, but I had never finished them because I just wasn't in the vibe. So I had immersive read Tempting Venom. I listened to it on audiobook and I read it on Kindle Unlimited. So I was like, oh, we'll do that with Kiss the Villain too. So I proceeded to use my Audible credit to get Kiss the Villain. I was so happy I did that, by the way. I used my Audible credit to get Kiss the Villain on Audible, and I read it on Kindle Unlimited. Great. This is a professor-student relationship. They, I don't know how to describe. I suck at describing books. Anyway, it's a college professor-student relationship, and literally, like, I loved them so freaking much. I didn't love them more than Marcus and Preston, but Gareth and Caden literally had them running for their money for a little bit. And like I loved the plot twist at the end of the story had me going, oh, you're kidding. Like, well, not the plot twist, because like there were things that I knew were gonna happen because I read the Viper series, but like right before that happened, there were things that happened that I went, OMG, like, what do you mean? And guys, they had a cat, and I fear if you adopt a cat, I'm like, you're my favorite person ever. And that's not even like, there's no exaggeration on that. Like, if you, my hair is so gross. If you own a cat, I will die. I loved Caden. I loved Gareth. Gareth was so like arrogant, and it was so funny to me because him and Preston in Tempting Venom were both very arrogant, and then their men came in and they were like, you want to say that again? And they were like, so I just loved it. I thought it was so funny. Anyway, I ended up giving Kiss the Villain 4 stars. I thought it was really fun. It just wasn't, to me, as good as Tempting Venom, which I knew it wasn't going to be as good as Tempting Venom, because Tempting Venom was like it for me, but I was very happy that I did pick up that. Then, after Kiss the Villain, I was like, okay, well, now if we're going to dive deep, we're going to dive deep. So I picked up God of Malice. I own God of Malice, so I read it physically, digitally, and audio. I listened to it with some of my Spotify hours. I Kindle read it when I was not at home, and I physically read it when I was at home and I had the book. And oh my god, this was so fun. It was like, I loved when I see like artists in books and things of that nature, and dancers in books, but that's later. That's a later prerogative. I love, like, all of the characters that I've read thus far. One of the characters has something that relates to me, and I love being able to be like, oh my god, I have that hobby. Oh my god, I have that interest. Oh my god, that's so weird. Like, I feel that same way. Like, God of Malice, Glyndon is an artist, and I absolutely adored that. She had imposter syndrome, like heavy imposter syndrome. So I loved her. Killian likes taking pictures. And Josh likes taking pictures. Not that I'm comparing Josh to Killian, but I was like, oh, this is cute. This is fun. He was obsessed with her. I love me a good obsession. And then, like, oh, so good. I loved that God of Malice. The twist at the end, I didn't see coming at all. I was like, huh? What do you mean? And like maybe that's because I don't read dark romance, I don't read thrillers. I have one thriller on all of my bookshelves, and it is The Housemaid by Freida McFadden, and I didn't even buy it. My friend bought it for me. But like maybe it's because I don't read thrillers, I don't read, books where there's a twist and you have to like decode it, or well, you don't have to decode it, but if you decode it, you're like, genius among geniuses. But like I read the twist in this book and I said, huh? What do you mean? I was so like excited and, mind blown when it happened. But I was like, what do you mean? What? That's not, no. So then, but yeah, this was good. I read it all three like ways. I listened to it, I e-read it, and I physically read it. And it was 4 stars for me. I had fun. Not as much fun as Tempting Venom. At this point, I was rating everything to Tempting Venom. I was sitting there going, well, did I feel the way I felt reading Tempting Venom when I read this? And I'm like, at a certain point, after this book, I was like, I need to rate these books like their own books, not like, did I feel the same way as Tempting Venom? Still, God of Malice is a 4-star, but it was like, at a certain point, I had to start rating like they were individual books and not like they were measuring up to Tempting Venom. Especially considering I know not everybody liked Tempting Venom. But that's okay! That's your prerogative! So then next, I read God of Pain. Also by Raina Kent, obviously. And this one was interesting to me because I didn't like it as much. I still gave it 4 stars. I read it and audio listened to it. I didn't like this one as much, but I still gave it 4 stars because I still enjoyed the journey. And again, the twist I kind of figured was coming, but like not in the same way. I was like, oh, this is gonna happen, and then I was like, but I don't want that to happen, and then it did, and I said, oh, well. I also thought this book was very different than what it was actually ended up to be. Not complaining, this book was fun. It's with Annika and Creighton. Annika is a mafia princess, and she's very, bubbly, energetic. I love everything. I love life. I'm the grumpy sunshine, but it's a dark romance. But she's very, sunshine, rainbows, happiness. Her favorite color is purple. Everything she wears is purple. Everything is purple. Real. I'm that way, but with blue, obviously. And then Creighton is very, I don't talk to anybody. I don't want friends. Like, I don't do anything. And I'm like, real. Also extremely real. And so she obsesses over him and annoys him. Well, not annoys him, but is so persistent that she ends up catching his attention, and the book just goes from there. She's a dancer. Ooh, she is a dancer, and I love that. I love when I have a hobby that they have, because I'm a dancer, and I was like, oh, real. And so, actually, I don't even think that's in the book, and I don't think that's something that's commonly talked about. I keep that to myself. But like, she's a dancer, and that was so fun. And I love how in all of these books so far, it's one of the REU students, well, one of the British people and one of the American people, and they like, their groups hate each other, but then they end up dating, and you're like, so we all hate each other, but we actually don't. So it was really cute. He called her Little Purple, and she was like, well, I'm not little. And he's like, you're smaller than me. And she's like, why do you call me, why purple? And he's like, because to me, you're the personification of the color. And I'm like, no, but that's so real. Like, imagine everything you own, everything you love is purple, and therefore your significant other connects you to that color. Like, that is so cute. Josh, would you say I'm the personification of blue? Maybe. He just said maybe. But it was, I enjoyed it so much. There was a not a trope, but like a connection. Not a connection. What am I saying? I'm really bad at this, guys. There was it might be a trope. It might be a trope on the thing. No. But there was like one part in there that I didn't love, but that was just because it wasn't for me, and that's okay. But like, I enjoyed a good portion of the book, so it got 4 stars as well. A lot of 4 stars. I am really scared apparently to give things under 4 stars unless I hated them, which is weird because 3 stars is just good. But anyway, and then finally, my 5th book was God of Wrath, and I loved this book. I absolutely adored this book. Like, I absolutely loved God of Wrath. Like, I read it digitally and I listened to like a chapter audioly. Then I ran out of audio credits hours. Then I ran out of hours on Spotify. So, but I read it digitally mostly, and it was, oh my god, it was so, like, I loved it. I loved it. Freaking adored it. It was about Jeremy Volkov and Cecily Knight. It's about Jeremy and Cecily, and Jeremy is a mafia prince going to take over his dad's position in the mafia. And Cecily is a psych major. And I'm a psych major. Anyway. I'm giggling. I'm sorry. But so he is like, she stands up to him and he goes, "Mm," and then proceeds to become obsessed with her. Like, y'all. Obsessed with her. So he like stalks her and shit. And oh my god, like, this man, he was so sweet and so kind. And so like he would go from like the biggest dickhead on the planet and the biggest jerk on the planet to kind, sweet, caring, I'm gonna take care of you. And like, oh my god. And at one point she said that she wasn't gonna take him to meet her parents because she just wasn't ready yet. And she's like, would you take me to take your parents? And he goes, tomorrow if you want. He's like, I'll take you right now. The fuck? And I loved it so much. There was an interaction between Jeremy and his guard that I read it and I went, that's so like how guys interact with each other. Like, I loved it with every fiber of my being. Jeremy Volkov, like halfway through the book, skyrocketed to my number one book boyfriend. Like, there was nothing, and up until him, it was a fantasy character. So the fact that he took out a fantasy character, and he's a romance man, like, but he jumped. And the second I knew that he was going to be on the top of my book boyfriends list, I knew that book was going to be 5 stars. So it was 5 stars. Anyway, like, oh, I loved that book so much. I loved the way he cared for her. I loved the way they interacted. I loved it all. I loved it with every fiber of my being. It was so freaking good. Like, if I had to pick out of this collection of 5 books that I read this month, my favorites would be Tempting Venom and God of Wrath. Obviously, they both got 5 stars. But now I am reading another book that I'm probably not going to finish by the end of this month, and if I do, it'll be in next month's wrap up anyway. But I have that book I'm reading, and then I'm going to start a bunch of other books because I have couple reading vlogs I have planned, so watch out for those. But anyway, let's talk about some hopefuls for the month of August. These are not definitive because I suck, but they're hopefuls. I am also a huge mood reader, so there's a good 99.9% chance that if I decide and I decide after the book that I'm reading and the next book that I'm reading that I want to continue on a path, I will divulge and, consume all media ever in that one category. So we'll see. But some books on my physical TBR that I would like to read are like Project Hail Mary. I'm telling Josh I'm going to read that one, and I need to read that one, especially now that I've watched the movie. I need to read that one. Hooked. I need to read that one. I need to finish the Bar series. I need to finish the Bar series. I want to read Kingdom of the Wicked. I want to start reading more fantasies as we're getting into like the fall. So we'll see how that goes. I want to do a reading vlog on the Shatter Me series, but I only have the first 2 books in the Shatter Me series, so I have to do more. I either have to buy more or just read those 2 and then buy as I finish. But yeah, there are multiple vlogs I have planned. If you guys have anything you want me to read, comment it. Let me know, because I will read it at some point. If it'll get read that month, that is up to my mood. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Honestly, I had a lot of fun. Well, when I actually knew what I was talking about, I had a lot of fun. When I was, losing my marbles, I was kind of done. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope that you will come back and see what I film next. I love y'all so, so much, and yeah, I hope you enjoyed. What else do I have? I hope you enjoyed. Comment what books you think I should read. Comment if you've read any of the books that I've read, which, I mean, I'm probably one of the last people who reads God of Romance, Dark Romance, to read the Legacy of God series, but that's my own prerogative. Comment if there's anything you think I should read. I think I already said that. Like if you enjoyed my wrap up, if you enjoyed my energy. I'm trying to find my vibe on the internet, and so I'm trying to use my energy that I have in real life when I'm around my people, because y'all are my people. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. I love you so, so much. I think I just said that. Subscribe if you want to see more of me, because I am kind of annoying, but sometimes people like annoying. And yeah, bye!